So let's say goodbye to burning discs for the Dreamcast, and let's say hello to the GDEMU. So I picked this up quite recently because they are quite available now online with mixed prices. So I managed to pick this up a while ago for about £35. So this took a while to get to me, but I'm pretty excited to get this and show you guys how to do this for yourself. So this package was pretty useless. It was just in an envelope, but it seems to be intact and still good condition. So this is what you get. It's just a single board. Here we are. So everything is brand new. So it's basically a replicant of the original GDEMU. This is the version 5.15b. So there's a couple of variants going around. So this will basically replace the GD-ROM drive, the CD system in the Dreamcast, with an SD card reader. Now these have been floating around for a while and I've been waiting for the price to come down. So to actually install this, we must unscrew all the screws at the back of this console. So to quickly do this, there's simply 4 screws, which I'll show you here. The tops just simply come off like so. So there's all the gibbons inside the Dreamcast. So the thing that we want to replace is that CD GD-ROM drive. Now there's a lot of mods I really want to try and do to this Dreamcast because it's one of my favourite consoles. So I do need a battery to make sure that the date and the time is saved. And I'm looking to replace the power unit and the fan. But for now in this video, we're going to replace this GD-ROM drive. So there's only 3 screws, as I can show you here. One in the top left and bottom right. Now the drive will simply disconnect from the main board. Just give it a little bit of a yank. It's only connected to a little port there, as you can see as I lift it to the main board. Let's put that aside and don't forget to put your screws somewhere safe. Now we are ready for the GDEMU. So some of these boards do come with these little feet that you have to clip in to the 3 circles underneath this board, like so. It's a bit of a fiddle and I was a bit afraid if I was going to break the board itself. But when you got them in, it seems a lot more stable. So when you got your feet in, you're now ready to connect it to the main board. Now later in making this video, I do recommend sticking some blue tack or some tape under the feet of this board because I did find it quite unstable and did wiggle quite a bit. So you want to make sure that it's firmly locked down. Now at the beginning of this video, I did use one of these SanDisk micro SD converters to put in, but I later found out there wasn't much compatibility and it couldn't really read the card. So instead of one of these, I do recommend the standard SD cards, and I've been using these SanDisk Ultra SDHC, and you want to make sure it's at least a class 10 for fast reads. Next up now is setting up your SD card ready for this GDEMU. So we're going to double click this GUI format program, which I'll include in the description. This will format your SD card to FAT32. I'm not too sure what bitrate to use, but I went for maximum and I didn't come across any problems. I have tried other formats up to 16 and it seems to be working fine. You can name your SD card anything you like, it hasn't been anything specific, and basically you want to make sure you got your right drive connected because it will format anything else that is plugged in. I have heard people use bigger SD card sizes, much more like the 64 gig 128, and I have heard a couple of people use a 256, but I'm not 200% sure on the compatibility and how big the SD card you can use. Now there is a simple way just to get games up and running, but I don't recommend this process. Included in the download there is a folder titled GDEMU menu. That's a mouthful to say, and it just concludes 2 files which says 01, which is a folder which holds the data. Basically that folder is the first thing the drive will actually read, which is the menu interface. Then you just put a folder 02 and then add your disk image in there. But the best way to actually get this running, because a lot of people have been complaining about the load times, because basically if you run it through this process, the actual menu interface will have to load every file at a time. So you could wait about 2-3 minutes depending on how many games you got. The way that you should be doing this to actually get better and quicker results is through the SD maker. So let's put that aside and concentrate on how to do it like that. So let's head to the SD card maker program that I'll also include in the description for you guys. So you open up your folder and you have your program here. To give it a double click and it'll open up straight away. So this is the list of games I've already got in on my SD card. You can see here on the right hand side that it is compatible with GDI files, which are the gigabyte, the original state of the games, and then you got the CDI version, and the CDI is a more popular online to download because that's how people always used to burn their games onto disk. Basically it's more of a compressed version of where the data that was unnecessarily needed, that took up a lot of the space, they just got rid of that to actually compress it to CDI. But this actual board is more compatible with GDI, so that I do recommend getting that version. So for instance now, let's go add another game, and there's my little list. So I want to add Street Fighter Third Strike, which is I must say is one of the best fighting games of all time. If we add this, is a Japanese ROM, and that is a CDI file, even though it does state it is a disk image by there. So let's give that open, and this does struggle with the name, but that's no problem at all. You may find that some more CDI files will not work when you load them up in the actual menu interface. But I've had actually good luck with getting all my ROMs. There's been a few that just crash, and then I just downloaded the GDI version. So for instance now I wanted to change the name. You also want to make sure you got this menu clicked as well. So that includes as the main thing that it boots at first, which is the menu interface. So when you click save, it says do you want to customize your menu? Click yes, and it loads up what it would look like on your actual console. So there's the list of my games. So that one that's wrong, so let's give this a delete. When you click done, that means you're ready to export everything. So make sure you got your SD card slot in, obviously. Click it. So it's basically dragging this file then onto your SD card, and it structures it with the name and also the information. So when you do it this way, the GD menu doesn't actually have to work on how many games you got and where to put it. This actually lists it all for you. So that's what makes the menu boot up a lot quicker. And there we have it, it's all done. So make sure you safely export it now. Eject your SD card and chuck it into your slot in the console. Now always make sure when before you actually set it up, you want to make sure the power is disconnected from the console. Now I do like to stress that you make sure you do unplug it, because for me I did have a bit of a bad experience because the thing wasn't stable. I didn't actually put any blue tack or anything to tape it down, and once when I actually took out the card, the actual card slipped and I had a bit of a shock that actually went through to my arm. But luckily the electricity just shut off and I wasn't badly hurt. So I do recommend getting that board safely and firmly down and unplugging that plug before you take the card out or even put it back in. So here we have now the menu all booted up. The moment you actually turn it on, it boots straight into this. So here's the list of my games. Now with SD card maker you can actually structure them in a form that you like, so even by name, or just rearrange them how you want. So it didn't take too long. I should have actually recorded it booting up, but it literally just took about 2-3 seconds. If you didn't do it by SD card maker, then it would take a lot more time to actually boot up. So let's give an example here. You also got some features by pressing X, the yellow button. You got your options, you got your system info and your about. System info, that's the firmware. System of your region that your console's in, and the broadcast channel. So it gives you some nice information. And using my VGA cable that is connected to a HDMI converter, so they're still picked up as VGA. And you got a little about, so there's your actual version, and you got your options. So this is one thing that is really beneficial for anyone with the Dreamcast, is the region free mode. You can force titles that have VGA in-game reset. So when you actually in-game, you just hold down LR and then all 4 buttons and start, and it should reboot to this menu. But that doesn't happen all the time. I found if you actually went to the game menu, like back to where it started, and then did it, it would work even better. So with the boot intro and Sega license, that doesn't happen all the time. That would be something nice if they updated that. And onto updates, I found that from the website itself they do provide you with updates, but a lot of people have been stressing you only could update the original boards, not these copies, because they're not compatible. So that's one thing I would actually really like to know if anyone's been able to update these themselves, because I'm sure now that these are more popular than the original boards because of how more affordable they are. So let's get into a game and show you the benefits of this GDEMU. Let's go with Sonic Adventure. So here I'm showing you guys is the SD DD-ROM on the left, and then I got the regular ordinary DD-ROM disk drive on the right, just to show you the loading times. So this is all real time, so you can see now the disk is still trying to read and the game is still booting. So I'm already a couple of seconds in gameplay. So when you add that all together, you spend more time gaming than you are waiting for the game to load. For another example now, I'll show you one of the famous games and best games of all time, which is GDEMU. So as you just witnessed, the GDEMU is a lot quicker using the SD card than that of the normal DD-ROM disk drive. So it is pretty awesome, but there are some flaws with this, as it is just a clone on a copy of the original. But I did do some research, and these are going a lot higher prices. Some of them go for a couple £100, and there are actually no updates for this original one for a long time. Because these are a lot more common, I do hope there may be some update and supports, but to be honest, the compatibility is really high. Just make sure you got the original DDI-ROM version of it, because that's more compatible. But with the CDI, there has no problems, but there's just a fair few that do have. Something I've been looking into myself is the way you can change the menu itself. I've seen a fair few people being able to do it, but I'm not too sure if you can do that on the original legit boards, or you can do these on these clones as well. The information online is not that great on how to do it yourself, but someone can actually get back to me on how to do it. That'd be absolutely awesome. And I know there is a way to change the actual disk art, so when you select the game you can have a custom art, but to do that you have to extract the GDI file and then place the image inside and pack it all in together again. Very time consuming, but if anyone knows if there's any already ISO GDI files with the right game art, preferably the PAL version, let me know. That'd be absolutely awesome. Something I will be doing is upgrading my Dreamcast even further with a custom power unit and a silence fan, so keep an eye out for the videos for them. So I do hope this has helped you into installing your GDEMU yourself, and perhaps inspired you to get one as well. These are getting pretty cheap and more affordable and more accessible, but do remember these are clones, and I do hope there is more support later on. So as always guys, if you like this video, hit that button. If you want to help support the channel, click subscribe, leave your comments below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.